All right, here we are.
Yeah.
So
There's a long delay.
that's fine. So
Yeah,
we
don't
are.
worry.
This is episode 2 of Geek Talk. So coming to you live from Aylmer, Quebec. We have Etienne, Moreau, Doug Patriarche, and myself, Richard Dufault. And we're going to have another 1 hour long rambling conversation about a film that we liked. So the film that we're talking about today is
Blade Runner 2049.
Blade Runner 2049.
So good.
And everything around it, like the 4 little prequels also that were...
Yes.
Oh yeah, sure. That'll pad out the runtime quite well. So yes, if anybody is watching, this is so sad. Don't worry, we're gonna rebroadcast this later on. Turns out that I think that the series finale of Rebels is playing right now.
Yes.
So all you Star Wars nerds, we don't need you anyway. You're probably not fans of Blade
You
Runner.
weren't here anyway.
The hard sci-fi man. Anyway, so what do we want to? You want to talk about the Oscars? So the Oscars were last night. They were so boring I couldn't get through them all with all the commercials and all the other crap. But so this film walked away with a couple of awards.
I was very happy that it won some awards. It deserved to win, but there's stiff competition this year. But I was very glad that it got 2 awards, and you can totally believe, what was special effects and what was it? Cinematography thing. Yeah. So those were clearly it.
The movie came out last summer, or last autumn. So
the movie was October, I think.
Yeah, way before Oscar season. So
yeah, I was glad it got it represented during the Oscars.
Well, they were talking about Deakins getting something just as a career thing, but I'm kind of glad that it wasn't some puff piece movie or whatever, because this film, the cinematography is something else,
Mm-hmm.
and so is the special effects. So it's really good. Okay, so
we can talk about our bona fides, why
we are such big fans of
are you big fans of Blade Runner? I can state so I love Blade Runner, the original movie. I've watched it, I don't know, a lot of times.
Did you see it in the theater?
I didn't. I remember it being in the theater. I was a bit too young.
If I saw it in the theater.
I was 13 at the time, I think, and I don't think I wasn't quite legal to go see it. But I remember seeing it and going, oh god, I want to see that. And then I saw it a couple of years later on VHS or something.
But I saw it at the Dufault on a special about architecture and movies. So they played that and the original Batman, Tim Burton Batman, and Blade Runner.
That's
interesting. As an interesting architecture.
Yeah.
Here's a city of the future. Yeah,
it was an awesome night.
Yeah,
especially the Bytown is the one on Montreal Road, isn't it?
Well, the Bytown used to be down on Beechwood, but then it moved to
so which is the one?
Riva Street.
Yeah,
Riva Street at Nelson.
Yeah.
It used to be the Nelson Theater. In fact.
Okay.
So it wasn't when it came out. It was not the Bytown. It was the Nelson.
Okay. But it's one of
So if you saw it at the Bytown, it would have been on Beechwood.
No, it was on that street. So it probably was the Nelson at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
I saw all the big ones at the Nelson. I saw Wrath of Khan. I saw Aliens. I saw. Pretty sure. I can't remember. I was an embassy kid, and we got a lot of films on VHS that were sent to us, like in care packages. The hardship of living in some of these amazing countries, but
yeah.
So I was a big fan of Blade Runner. It really informed a lot of our playing of games like Cyberpunk and other things.
Yep.
And I remember watching different versions of it and reading about it, and I was always into the special effects. I had all the special effects magazines and stuff, and that was pretty big too.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But have you read Philip K. Dick's?
Andrew's Dream of Electric Sheep. I think I did, because I have a recollection of a repair guy going to a building. And I remember thinking, this is the building that John Sebastian lives in.
Well, the repair guy is repairing robot animals.
Yeah, see, I don't remember that. But I've read other things by Philip K. Dick, and that guy was crazy. So, like psycho, like on acid all the time, crazy. So
that's why I haven't read it, because I kind of know the reputation of Philip K. Dick. I'm like, oh no,
yeah,
it's not really my thing.
And it's the same thing for like Total Recall, which was We Remember It for Your Wholesale, which is it's like a psychotic fever dream.
Yeah.
And they sort of turned into a slightly generic action film. So anyway, all I have to say is we have bona fides, man. So I remember there was the voiceover version, and then there was the final cut and the final cut with the unicorn dream.
Sure, I think I've seen all the versions. But actually, this is a good question for you all to kind of establish where you stand on these things. With voiceover or without.
I saw it younger. The voiceover made much more sense.
The original.
If you're watching it with someone who's never seen it before, voiceover is good because he explains everything as he's killing the replicant. He's like, it didn't make me feel better about shooting a woman in the back.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about what he's doing.
But it changed the mood of the movie also. It makes it a lot more noir.
When he's talking.
Yeah, it makes it a lot like the Dane came in. Yeah. Of all the dive bar that Dane had to walk into mine.
yeah. You're right. It makes it more classic noir, but I think it also makes it. I don't like voiceovers, and when I showed this movie to my kids, the first time we watch it without the voiceover, the director's cut or whatever. But it's much more like 2049 in that there's sort of long periods of nobody talking, and it's very moody. It's much more atmospheric.
So you have daughters. So what happened when the scene came where Deckard's slightly sexually assaulted?
Oh well, that's interesting.
What's her name?
Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. As an adult, you're like she's into it, or she's he wants to. I guess, or it's a form of rough play, but it just seems kind of
especially with
cringy now.
With Me Too. Suddenly you kind of realize Harrison Ford does this a lot in his movies. That's not the only one. But actually I remember when I watched this with my older daughter that actually we kind of I think I paused it and we kind of had a little conversation about that. So this was, hey Helen, this was made in the 1980s. Things have changed. This is no longer acceptable. Somehow this was okay back then. It's not okay now.
It's like when I watched Star Wars with two of my daughters, and afterwards she was like, "That was good," but why are there no women in this movie?
No, there was one, and she's very strong.
Yeah, the only woman in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Two women. Anyway, all right. So our bona fides are good.
One other thing I'm going to mention about the original one was the soundtrack. So I love the Vangelis soundtrack. I bought the Vangelis soundtrack. I listen to it quite a lot when I'm working.
Yeah, I bought the original Crystal because they had issues about that soundtrack. It came out 10 or 15 years after the movie because they could not release it. So I had Leonard Flamar on the cover of the Blade Runner on 4-track.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then the only place I could actually get some of the...
Or you get them imports, right?
No, not even import, but you had them on Evangelist Best Of. You had I think the N team on it. Right. And then I remember back, maybe 95, 96 is the first time I actually saw it come out, and I ordered it, and I have it at home now.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever see Legend, the Tom Cruise film with the unicorn? Also directed by by Ridley Scott.
I'm pretty sure I've never seen it.
So it's like a fantasy movie about a young man who fights against evil.
And Tim Curry makes the
Tim Curry is the evil...
the devil.
Yeah, he's like a devil character, and it's scored by Vangelis. Except it was released with a score by somebody else because the studio execs didn't like it, and then Ridley Scott was able to Ridley Scott loves to go back and ruin or redo his movies. Right?
No.
George
Lucas ruins this movie.
Yes. Well, Ridley Scott is I would argue that he's ruined Alien with his creationist bullshit. Anyway,
with the sequels,
with what he's making now, which is basically creationist bullshit.
Yeah.
But it had a Vangelis soundtrack that was removed and then restored in a special edition DVD, which I have. So if you want to borrow
on which movie?
The movie Legend.
Oh, Legend. Okay.
It's a very young
Legend,
which has a unicorn.
That's talking about Alien.
It's like he's obsessed. He's obsessed with this.
But the unicorn comes from that movie.
Oh, and he probably
he reused the footage. Reused the footage.
So his, you're right. It does look familiar. Yeah.
So this is like Wild Wild West. He always wanted a robot spider. He's gonna put that robot spider in the movie. There's going to be
a robot spider in the next film. I think that was the studio exec who used to be a hairdresser.
So, Ridley Scott. It's all about unicorns.
Hollywood is such a fucked up place. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, so we have good bona fides. So I think I like the hammy, the terrible voiceover. I think it's You know, I think that because that's how I first saw it. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't know, but
I think there's
it flows without as
you know
well.
what?
you can fall on
I'd
either
like to
side.
see it in black and white,
You know what? I would not like.
like a noir version with super cranked like. I mean, I
Really-
have all the
Yeah.
software. I should import it into my
That's
computer and
interesting.
just
You
like
try it.
just crank it into a
You
like
probably-
a noir.
You probably don't. The
too
contrast
dark,
the contrast in that movie is too low.
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
It's pretty dark. It's going to be very hard to have it come out.
And the DVD that I have is terrible. Like we play it on our it's not, we don't have a 4K TV. We have a HD TV.
Yeah.
And we play the DVD on there, and I was worried that it would be pan and scan. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's so old, but it wasn't. It's letterbox, and it's just the image was just so bad, and Joanne was like,
It's a dark movie anyway. This is what Helen said was, oh, it's so dark. I couldn't tell what was going on.
Yeah, but I don't really mind. Like of the 3 versions, I will watch any one of them because
yeah,
it's
just
okay.
great. It's great.
It's not like I don't watch this one because I don't like the voiceover.
Like it has good performances, and some people have said that Rutger Hauer was really the character they should have followed in the film, and I guess he's sort of like the misunderstood
Then again,
victim
if
slash villain.
yeah,
Well, but,
if they follow
yeah.
Rutger, they do follow.
They follow him.
Roy Batty around quite a lot
Yeah.
because he goes for the eyes. He goes to the
I make your eyes.
yeah.
It goes for the eyes.
So there's it's just
cold.
it's just enough to put a little aura of mystique around that character, and just like just the fact that he's on the death march. He he's going to die. He's trying everything, but he can't, and that's what makes it nice. More of him would have probably not made the movie as interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a bunch of really interesting characters in that movie. Like Roy Batty was super interesting. I think Deckard was interesting. Rachel was interesting too. She had her own journey to go.
Well, it's interesting how all of the replicants are obsessed with knowing things about the past and keeping relics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess we could just talk about the original Blade Runner for an hour.
That's true.
And to me, that's the biggest clue that Deckard is a replicant, because when you're in his apartment, the camera like sort of slowly pans over all of his shit.
Yeah.
He has so many old pictures
Yeah.
on his piano, and all of this stuff, and it just shows the fixation that these replicants have with images of the past and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean Leon is fixated with pictures, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He is. He wanted to go. In fact, he
Yeah,
goes back-
actually,
it was
Daddy
his
says,
picture.
"Have you got your
Yeah.
pictures?"
Yeah, he's got a whole collection of pictures. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's the
Okay.
clue that Deckard gets prior to the infamous 20-minute long enhanced scene. So yeah. So anyway, Blade Runner, it's good.
Good movies. So going into 2049, I think my expectations were pretty high, and I was really worried that I was going to be disappointed. I was worried they were going to do a reboot. It was just going to be the same plot rehashed because that's being done these days.
Yeah, like I wasn't worried that it was going to be like a dumb action film because Denis Villeneuve, I haven't seen all of his movies. I only saw like 2 of his films before, so I saw Arrival. So he's not afraid to make a long film with long stretches of nothing happening.
Arrival's an amazing film.
And I remember we watched Arrival, my wife and I, and we hadn't seen it in theaters, but it was Oscar nominated, so we bought the DVD and watched it on our TV, and it was mind blowing. Like I couldn't stop. We kept thinking about it and going back, and then when you watch it a second time, all the stuff that happens that didn't seem to make sense. It's like so it's just and the whole self-fulfilling prophecy time loop thing. That's cool. It's very cool, But he wasn't afraid to do those long
spoilers.
Those long. Arrival's about aliens that come from outer space that show us how to time travel, so that we can fix our own problems, so that we can then help them later on when they need. Anyway, it's But also Sicario, right? I mean, Sicario. In fact, all of the action stuff I found problematic, and the main character's motivations were very weak. But all the long, slow, build up and tension and character stuff was really great. So I wasn't worried that would be the problem. No, I was worried there'd be studio interference.
That's
Ridley Scott would show up on set and make him do things, And I think Villeneuve handled Ridley Scott like a champion. He says, "Oh, I cannot have you on the set while I am filming because, I am too embarrassed to be director while you are on the set." And Ridley Scott's like, "Yeah, well played, sir."
That's true. I am great.
Touche.
It's like, touche. Yeah. So he got him off the set. He moved his production to Bulgaria. I think he wanted to film it in Montreal, but there was an X-Men film being filmed.
Well, Montreal doesn't have enough sets.
He said if it wasn't for the X-Men film, they would have been fine. But there's not enough.
Yeah, because he needed 2 sets or something like that.
Might need a huge. It's all indoor sets, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I guess I was worried there'd be studio interference and a dumb creationist. And I mean, this is right up Ridley Scott's alley, right? Whereas he's obsessed with finding out who's the creator, and that's the theme of Blade Runner.
Yeah, but we know
it's sort of trying to meet your creator and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, but we know the creator. It's not a reveal.
Yeah,
it's either Terrell or.
Yeah, but I was afraid that it would be Wallace.
Yeah.
But I was afraid that Ridley Scott would turn it into one of these aliens from outer space came down or I don't know, whatever.
Well, do you remember the last trailer? Now I did watch the trailers, but I tried to stay away from everything else. But that last trailer that came out, where they like replicated Blade Runner, like the Blade Runner plot in the trailer, like beat for beat, using scenes from 2049, and I was like, oh god,
like they replicated the Blade Runner trailer.
I think it was the Blade Runner trailer or something.
Yeah, it was a copy of the Blade Runner trailer. Yeah. Well, they were desperate. I think it wasn't tracking well.
Oh, was that?
And like a Warner Brothers or some other studio would have like immediately changed the movie to try to attract people. We need more explosions.
I was thinking they were trying to be clever. They were a little too clever, and people like me started freaking out a little bit. Like, oh god, no! It's everything I feared. They rebooted it. Oh jeez, no! So when it saw it was actually good.
Yeah, and the fact that it wasn't a reboot cool or a pre-boot or whatever the hell they call them now, or it was like.
Well, we're kind of lucky. Right? I kind of expected that because Denis Villeneuve basically made the 4 prequels, the 4 little movies. Which
I watched those.
Yes,
those were good. I like those.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to redo a reboot when you see all that story. The one with Batista.
Well, they showed that it's a dark future that precedes, or something bad happened after Blade Runner, and it's a darker world even than Blade Runner, and then it brings you to so that's cool. Yeah,
but like but sometimes that kind of would bite people that didn't see them, because in the movie itself, when he meets with the replicant underground. Well, if you haven't seen the animated one, where they basically remove their eye after they've destroyed the...
and I had forgotten that, and that just went right over my head. The whole... It was like, I didn't even notice that they were all missing an eye or whatever, right?
Well...
I wasn't paying attention to that. No, I was just blown away by... Okay, spoilers. This is spoiler. I was just blown away by how she looked at him and said, "Oh, you're not the chosen one," and I'm like, "What?"
I know.
You think you're clever, right? It's like, "Oh, I'm so clever. I figured out the plot, the big thing." Oh yeah, it's like, "Oh, you're not the chosen one. Oh, you must be so sad." I'm like, "What?"
Sure, that was an amazing moment in that movie, because they were totally dragging you along. You're like, I've seen the story a lot of times before. He's the chosen one. Yeah. Nope, you're just some guy. Wow, nicely played.
Oh, Ray doesn't have parents. Yeah,
Ray
was a crack baby.
It was so good, and so sad. And the acting was really good. Like you could see the disappointment in him, and he did a really good job.
The question is, does he get peace at the end?
Before he dies? I
think
he dies.
No, we know he dies.
Yeah.
But does he die?
I don't know. Blade Runner 3 would be like, he'd be like jumping through windows with 2 guys.
I don't think there's going to be a Blade Runner 3.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be another 20 years before they revisit that. Because
I think it's done.
Huh?
I think it's done.
Well, it didn't make any money, so
they're
not going to greenlight anything.
Well, they'll see.
It would be a really...
Because Blade Runner 1 didn't make any money either. It made money when it went overseas.
No, that's right. And it just became a cult classic.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. Is if this thing basically turns into a cult classic, maybe in 20 years we'll see Blade Runner 3. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, but it still doesn't answer my question, is Ryan Gosling's character, what's his name?
Kay.
Kay, yeah. Is he content at the end when he passes away?
He seems so. Like he's accomplished the mission. He reunited the father and the daughter. He lies down on the steps and just kind of.
I think he's super disillusioned because he was like walking along. Before that, he was walking along on that bridge, and then the giant Joy kind of bends over and she's like, "Hey, you look like a good Joe."
Well,
and he was like, "Oh shit." Joy probably acts the same way with all the Joes. So it's all programming. It's bullshit. Oh well.
I didn't read it like that. I thought that
as soon as she said, "Oh, you look like a good Joe," his face just went, "Oh god." You know,
I took it more like he like his joy had transcended
he
beyond
fell
that.
in love with a mechanical prostitute.
But it just made him miss his version of joy. You know, this is joy, but with all the memories of him scrubbed away.
Yeah, no, I think he realized in that instant, oh, joy's not real. She was just stroking, you know, she's just designed to stroke your ego, and this is like the diabolic.
It's really sad, Richard. This is a sadder movie than I thought it was.
Prostitutes don't care about you, Doug. They just want your money.
But
Don't
joy.
find out the way Etienne found out. Anyway, so we had this is great. We're 20 minutes in, and we haven't talked about anything yet.
We talked about the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about our bona fides.
Yes.
You know, we are definitely fans of the genre. If you're a fan of the genre, you should watch Dark City,
I don't know.
which is Kiefer Sutherland. It's a sci-fi futuristic, mind-screwing noir film. It's called Dark City. I have it on DVD. Lower budget, probably. It's more almost like a horror movie. It's almost like a time loop kind of thing, but it's very cool. You know, it belongs in the same kind of area as this film. Anyway, so bona fides, we talked about that. We talked about what our expectations for this film and Villeneuve's other movies. I haven't seen any of his other stuff, like Insanzi or Prisoners, you know, but they were all super highly critically acclaimed. So, he made Petit Technique also,
Yeah.
like the movie about the shooting into
even
Polytechnique.
further than that,
Right.
like he got his chop on I think it was Destination Monde, which was a show on CBC where they would take these young kids in university and send them abroad to do 1 week reportage, and that's where he cut his teeth. So
Oh,
the
cool.
long panning shots, the mood, like it comes from his journalistic approach.
But I mean, Roger Deakins is the visual architect of everything that he does. I think Deakins has been the DP of all his movies. And that's a question that I would have if I ever met him. I'd be like, is that your vision? All of this, you know, he loves his aerial shots and he loves all of his panning stuff and the slow, you know, zoom in and things.
Mm-hmm.
And is that all him telling the DP, I want you to do that? You know, and the director of photography is like, all right, this is how we do it. Or do they collaborate? Or do some directors probably just say, just whatever you want to do. I'm interested in the actors. Or
I can imagine it being a real partnership.
Yeah, it's probably more a partnership because it's not just directing people, and then even Villeneuve is always about like the story within the story. Like the images tells as much of a story as the actor playing, and so he probably has a vision of where he wants to go. Las Vegas is a perfect example with all these statues of women basically giving head.
I thought they were singing.
No, I'm singing, my friend.
I'm just going to go restart my big camera because we don't want the second half of the YouTube video to be low res. Still going, it's good.
No, I think there is a certain partnership there.
Don't go too far off to the side.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about the bona fides. We talked about our expectations for the film.
Sure.
Do we just want to talk about?
How about characters?
Sure.
Like, so I thought the characters in this movie were really strong. I thought so Kay was good. Actually, I thought Kay was pretty good. I thought some of the other characters were like even more interesting and stronger. You know, Love was pretty amazing. Like, so one thing I liked about the women. So there's a lot of strong women in this movie, or at least interesting women like Joy. I liked that the tough ones were believably tough. They didn't come across as like Victoria's Secret models who were doing martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
That Love really felt to me like, man, she would kill you. And I really liked.
And they showed it in little ways, right? Like where she, like when they go visit the archives, the steel door doesn't open and she kind of goes, like, wow, okay.
I really liked Robin Wright's character, who was Lieutenant Joshi, whose name we had to look up.
Yeah.
but yeah, so actually, I like Robin Wright a lot, and Robin Wright plays a tough, smart woman really well. Yeah, and actually, so it was one of the interesting like little surprises in this movie. Like in the first, I don't know, half an hour, I was kind of wondering if Kay was kind of a vehicle, but maybe Lieutenant Joshi was the main character. because I didn't know where this was going. It was great. And, like, she seemed like she had a plan and she had motivation and she wanted to accomplish things, and she's basically telling him to do, and he kind of went, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Yeah. And then when she dies, you're like, whoa.
Well, she very stoically dies, right? She
Yeah,
doesn't
very
cry out,
stoically.
She doesn't try. I guess she just knows that a human just can't possibly fight a replicant and survive.
She had no chance. She's in a locked office.
She just let herself get killed. Well, that was what was interesting with Digger, the character played by what's his name, wrestler guy,
Batista.
Batista, yeah, Dave Bautista, yeah. So when the film opens, you see Kay goes to visit Digger, and you're like, oh, is he? So he's a because we knew he was a Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. They hadn't revealed anything about him being a replicant or not. And he goes up against Bautista, right? And he's like, pretty cocky. And then Bautista punches him through a wall. And oh god, this is Blade Runner all over again, right? Where Deckard is being beat up by Leon. I'm like, oh god, But then he punches Bautista once, and he goes, and then like he is incapacitated. I'm like, oh, okay, it's something that's weird. And then there's a dialogue scene, and then and then you're like, oh, he's a replicant. So and you never knew how strong replicants were, I guess. You knew they were strong, but you never saw them bending metal or anything like that in the original film. Whereas in this film, you saw Love opening metal doors, and
Roy Batty seemed to be about 25% stronger than your average human.
Yeah, that's right.
Like he was punch through a wall
and then break your fingers.
But it was kind of an old wonky building. So
in this one, the replicants are like they're like machines that look like people, right? They're super strong. So and I mean. Yeah, so it was interesting to see, and it was sad to see Bautista's character go, because he's a pretty great actor for a guy who never acted before 2 years ago.
Yet another surprise in the movie. In one of the little short movies, he was the star of that movie. So I thought, great, he's going to be main character.
Well, that's why you knew he was a replicant. That's why I was wondering how Deckard was going to survive this without just shooting the guy, because. Mm-hmm. If he wasn't, not Deckard, but Kay, if he wasn't a replicant, So Kay, interesting character. Digger was interesting, although they killed him off. But he had his chance, right, in the little prequel film.
But not only he cannot live. When he kills Kay, you haven't seen what I saw. You haven't seen Beauty of Life. Well, if he lives after that, his whole character is worthless.
He would crack under torture. That's what they said, right? They said no one cannot crack under torture, and so he had to die. He would have killed himself probably if Kay hadn't killed him. So
because he's holder of the ultimate secret.
Yeah. So Joy is an interesting character, and when she's introduced, it's like he comes in and he's having a conversation with this woman in the kitchen, and he pours 2 drinks, and then out she comes, and then you're like, that's weird.
There's something weird going on.
Yeah. And then you realize. And then
there's the thing on the ceiling, the projector on the ceiling,
or the car wash.
What's that about? This thing's sliding around. But that's weird.
Yeah. But and then they go out of their way to show you that that she's basically tied to this projector that's on the track in the ceiling, and then they immediately liberate her from that by him showing up and showing her the remote dongle or the personal projector thing. Right? Yeah. So that's very cool. And then they free the character to do things, to move around.
So, why is Peter and the Wolf theme so important?
Why is what theme?
Peter and the Wolf. The little violin part. Every time she interacts, it comes from Prokofiev, Peter and the Wolf.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't.
It's Peter's theme.
Yeah.
What is so important? And I was thinking about this yesterday.
I don't know.
So there was always a violin piece playing.
Yeah.
That's Peter. Oh, that's the sound. That's the sound of joy. That's the chime of joy. Okay.
In the original narration, Peter goes after the wolf after his grandfather leaves the gate open. Okay. And I think that's where it comes in, because I couldn't understand why. Because Peter and the Wolf is not like a Pinocchio. No. Or it's really the story of a boy that goes out and basically tries to, because his grandfather says you can't go outside, the wolf is dangerous, and he goes out and basically hunts the wolf. But I clearly remember, because I have an old French recording that I had in vinyl when I was young, and my mother found it in CD. And basically Peter heads out because his grandfather left the door open. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's an invitation, and that's where, with that chip, that's kind of the open door where she gets her freedom. She's pining for the freedom to be free.
That's pretty deep.
Well, I was wondering why
It's a deep cut, man.
why would they go out of their head of finding something that is not very common? Peter and the Wolf is not everybody knows about it.
Sure.
And what's the link? You would have thought if they've used like "It's a Beautiful World After All" from like Jiminy Cricket or something like that, then it's Pinocchio. It jives.
Yeah.
But Peter and the Wolf doesn't jive for joy.
It's pretty subtle. Like I recognized the piece of music. I knew it was Peter and the Wolf, but I don't remember the story of Peter and the Wolf at all.
I'm done. Nothing.
But so did the chime first appear after she got the personal projector?
No, I think
I don't remember.
From what I remember is that every time she wants to interact with him,
Yeah.
it chimes in, and that's where Love says, "Oh, you're one of her clients," because he has it in her pocket.
And so that's I can interject there and say that when I watched the film the first time, I just kind of went along with it. And when I watched it the second time in the theater, I realized that Love, the reason why he got saved by Love when he was ambushed by the Junkers, and she used the satellite to like kill them all individually, is because she was following his every move through Joy. Yeah. Because it's a product by their company and she has access to everything.
But does she know?
So because the chime and as soon and you realize it when the transceiver thing gets crushed, and then she's like she immediately reacts to it and says we're going to move now. Yeah, she's in rage. We're going to move right now, and I'm like, oh, she's been listening the whole time. Yeah, so interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, but I spent a lot of time wondering what was the link between that kind of obscure piece of music, and I think it is the desire to be free.
So they're going for the guys, the thinking man like Etienne. 0.01% of the audience is going to get this, but they're going to love us for it.
Joy was naked all the time. I couldn't.
How could you concentrate?
Jeez. Yeah. And my wife wanted me to mention how good looking Ryan Gosling is. So.
He's always photoshopped.
Good looking guy. Yeah, he's like Photoshop, man. Yeah, so. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we spoke about what other characters were interesting in this film.
Wallace, even if he is kind of slow and kind of counter, you don't expect it. He is the bad guy.
Yeah.
But is he like for me? He represents a perfect bad guy because he's kind of disconnected. He is self-centered and only thinks about himself, and so he doesn't have that big of a role. He's not as bad as Terrell.
He didn't get his head crushed in the end, so that's good for him.
Well, he's still alive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So this is kind of jumping to the end. Of course, we've already talked about the end, but I like that they didn't feel that the bad guy was the mega boss that has to die at the end. It'll be the final fight, and he'll pull out the mini bosses, and like when he hops in the car and chases after them, they're gonna because they're going to take Deckard off planet, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. There's going to be some big fight at the end.
Going to crash through the wall of the building and be like,
that's right, crash through the wall. Deckard's going to be on like powered armor, and like not Deckard's Wall's going to be powered armor, and you're like, oh jeez.
Or you'll have an army of replicants fighting.
With an army of replicants
like coming out of the bag.
So I like that they left him. He isn't the boss who has to get killed at the end. He was a device that is in the background.
He's not.
But he's a force for good. He's a force for good in the world. He's the one who helped the world with his genetically engineered crops.
Yeah.
He's going to save humanity by doing the exploration stuff. He just wants to make replicants that can that can reproduce.
He needs slaves
because he has a god complex.
Yeah.
He has a god complex. But as soon as you make replicants that can have their own children, you're giving up the slave thing. Because as soon as replicants just leave, they can just have their own kids and not be slaves.
Oh, no, he wasn't going to give up the slave thing.
So he just wanted to be able to make more replicants.
He wanted to make replicants faster.
So I felt that was a plot hole in the film, was that he was like, oh, I can't make enough replicants, I need to be able to make more replicants. Meanwhile, there are replicant streetwalkers. Replicant prostitutes. Working for,
that's just a very expensive model. It's like your BMWs and...
Yeah, three replicant prostitutes hanging out in a cafe, harassing people that are trying to eat their noodles. That's a lot of replicants.
So that was. I felt this was a weak part of the movie. This was the weakest part of the movie for me. In a movie that I love was the Wallace kind of exposition as he kind of killed off that replicant. Well, these rare replicants that are super valuable, he would just kind of
slices her belly, and that was horrifying too. The way he slices her at the spot where they make children. He was hoping she'd come out able to make children, and he was like, yeah.
Well, that was effective. I like that scene, except for the fact that it was basically him in a monologue to Love. who presumably already knew all this stuff. So, but I guess
it's weak exposition.
It was sort of weak. It was a weak exposition, but I guess that they felt that we as an audience, like, we need to learn this somehow. It could. I feel it could have been done better, but
this is not like. Now that I think about it, this is not a movie about characters. This is a movie about, like, it's a story about the future.
Yeah, sure.
Basically, that's why at the end, when I'm asking if Kay is content, I think he is, because there's no need for him to go after the bad guy. There's no need for him to.
Well, because he knows there's hope. Because he knows there's one replicant that can have children. But it's the girl in the bubble. It's the girl in the bubble who makes dreams. So I don't know. It's sort of they just leave it up in the air, right? The whole
it was very much up in the air.
Because I mean, if you look at it, also that's another big plot hole where presumably everyone's looking for him, and he's got a cop car that they could trace. And he brings Deckard straight to
yes.
He brings Deckard straight to the child.
Yeah.
And it's like anybody who's following along would be able to piece that together. Like Wallace would be like, so Wallace is like, okay, love is dead. Reactivate a new love. It's like, all right, new love. Where's Kay right now? Oh, he's at the dome where the chick is that makes the dreams with Deckard. Oh, so she's the one.
That's weird.
Like,
What a strange coincidence.
Yeah. So that, I mean, it was for the viewers and for everybody else. But I mean, you don't want to spend another half an hour,
Can you be more geeky on this?
Oh, no, it was just like the last thing you want to do is to just, after the replicants have spent 30 years hiding the girl or however old she is, just bring Deckard straight to her when his whole mission in life was to stay away from her, so that nobody would know, and then he brings him right to her. So, like he would have had to kill Wallace in order to be able to do that more safely.
But no,
because Wallace was the one with the God complex who was trying to find the child. No one else seemed to care. So,
yeah.
But we always know that, like, megalomaniacs always have a little one pushing up the rear. That's going to take its place as soon as he goes away.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah.
I just say for plot, for a story, for basically.
That's a nice wrap up. It wraps it up.
Yeah, for another 20 years. But remember how what version does it end when they're driving the car and Decker's asking himself if he only has like 1 year to go with her, with Rachel?
That was I think that was the original theatrical release where they had the happy ending. You talked about the happy ending where they
it's the one where Ricardo says, "Who knows how long you'll live? She'll live.
Yeah,
she's a special model."
That's right. Yeah.
And then Deckard does the voiceover. It's like, oh, she's a special model. She has open-ended lifespan. And you see them driving.
That's right. That was the slapped-on happy ending. But then in the director's cut where they removed voiceover, there's no happy ending.
Well, you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
It's just like this. You don't know.
Well, you have no reason to believe she's going to live any longer than all the other ones. Which
I'm so bummed out now.
I would prefer.
What?
Right?
Just so sad. All right. So, any other characters that you liked in this film?
What do you talk about? Deckard. Deckard comes back.
I know. Like,
did you care?
At least he's not phoning his performance.
The whole bit where they fight was kind of weird. Like Deckard literally, he shoots Kay.
Yeah.
Like he shoots him and then goes over the railing, and I'm like, the second time I'm like, oh, he must have missed or shot him under the arm or something. It's like, no, he shoots him.
Yeah.
With this gun. And then like Kay,
it was a little inexplicable.
I don't understand what happened. Like it was a badly set up, and then Kay falls like 100 feet or whatever to the lobby, and then they fight, and the fighting was, I guess it's fine. I wish they had not revealed that Harrison Ford was in the film.
That
would have been
that's coming.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that would have been just yet another amazing surprise.
Yeah, because Kay never indicates that he's looking for Deckard. He's just following clues. Oh, and that brings me to the clue of him finding Las Vegas because of tritium that was on the little statue thing. That's such a weak clue. And then he finds the beehives and then goes, really? Okay. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, man.
Deckard.
So Deckard. So you don't know he's looking for Deckard. So it would have been really cool for them to not show Harrison Ford in the trailers, and then basically he just walks into the hotel lobby, and then Deckard comes out the other door. Is like, "What are you doing here?" And you're all like, "Harrison Ford!" Like the first time in 20 years that Harrison Ford didn't phone in a performance.
Yeah,
I don't know what Villeneuve did. He must have taken his kids hostage or something. But
well, so I guess one explanation for that would be the draw of Harrison Ford is going to bring people to theaters.
Oh,
And, another explanation could
apparently
be
that didn't work.
that it would have like blown all of our minds to not know if Harrison Ford was in the movie or not. Your brain would have exploded. You would have spent the first half of the movie going, "Go, is he going to?"
But our brains were already exploding from not knowing if the film was going to be a reboot or reboot cool or some terrible, studio
pretty
interface
quickly.
thing,
Within 20 minutes, you're pretty sure.
Well,
okay, this is not a reboot.
but you have a point. If we don't know Harrison Ford is in it or not, then we assume it's a reboot.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah,
We assume right away that it's a reboot. Because Harrison cannot be in a reboot of himself because he's not 30 years old anymore.
Well, Harrison Ford was in a reboot of himself in Force Awakens, so
no,
that was a reboot cool. So
no.
I think it kind of helps you relax, knowing don't relax. You want Harrison Ford to be in this
Harry's
movie.
in it. Yeah.
He's in it. Don't worry, he'll show up.
And he comes up in the third act, which is the perfect time for him to come in.
Yeah.
Because it leaves us time to actually start jiving or connecting with Kay's and Joy's and Captain Lee there.
Who dies? Captain Joshi?
Captain Joshi.
Does his dog get killed?
No, it was unspecified. I think the dog didn't get killed.
The dog doesn't get killed when the missiles hit the flying vehicle.
Yeah, it's this versions of the Ewoks.
I think no animals were harmed in this production.
Well, it was probably a replicant dog, which doesn't. Well, we don't know. So that's the question for the next one. It's like, is his dog a replicant?
I don't think they showed the dog dying. I think they just left.
According to canon, there is more chance than not it is a replicant. Because
somebody would have had to make it. Because replicants, unless they live a long time, maybe replicant animals don't have a expiration date.
But no, in the
and they can't reproduce.
You remember in the original, later at the start of the movie, you see people walking around an ostrich and llamas and stuff like that. People are owning pets because
but they were being made and they were owning them, and then presumably they had an expiry date or something like human replicants do. So Deckard's living in Las Vegas for 30 years, and he's got a dog that he feeds whiskey to. Is that a replicant that he's had for 30 years? So it's like a replicant. It's like I had a replicant made that has no expiry date, but it's a dog. So I think just drinks whiskey.
Just playing the odds, it's a dog, because I think they established in the story that
the dog must have just showed up.
Like real animals are really rare, and really expensive. So there's animals around, but they're all replicants.
Well, you like our own? Is it real? Of course not. Of course not.
What is a real dog anyway? What is dog?
Whoa. All right, so we can talk about the world that they live in.
Yeah.
So even without seeing the prequels, because I had pretty much forgotten, not the prequels, but the little pre-visualization movies that they made, the world made a consistent, logical sense. It was really cool to see him filling out paperwork. And going through microfilms, and again, you see the value of being a replicant because he's going through microfilms like a machine, right? So
I could do
that. Like he was running parallel DNA sequences.
Okay, I can't do that.
Oh, match. So
Well, Joy helps him out with that.
Yes. I think Joy was helping him out into the table. So
insubstantially.
But it also kind of nice.
There's a whole bunch of peripheral devices you can buy that work with Joy.
But talking about continuity, it's kind of nice because what made the style of the first Blade Runner was all the massive boards and stuff like that. And you know what? Like Atari's still there, Pan Am is still there.
Yeah,
and
it's still raining.
It's still raining.
So I can talk about Adam Savage. So the guy who used to be on MythBusters. Mm-hmm. He has a big presence on the internet, on YouTube, and he likes to show off stuff that he builds and things. And he's a collector of movie props. And so I guess the movie studio hired him, or I think he has a relationship with Weta because he went to New Zealand several times to show off what Weta was doing for Ghost in the Shell and Alien, whatever the latest horrible alien film was.
Prometheus or
the one after Prometheus, Covenant, Prometheus, whatever. In this one, these are all because all of the special effects, all of the visual effects, and the props and stuff were made by Weta Workshop.
Yeah.
And so he released a bunch of videos showing off all the different props. Like he's got the binoculars that he uses, and he in fact bought a kit where he made them, and he went to Weta and he saw like a crate full of Deckard's blaster, because that's his favorite prop is Deckard's blaster, which is like a Steyr rifle, bolt action rifle, welded to like a Colt revolver, with like clear plastic grips and all this stuff, and it's like a very specific prop that was made by a famous weapon master, and so he owns like 10 different versions of it and stuff. And so they had, it's like there's a briefcase full of these things, like and here's the rubber one for the stunts, and here's the metal one, and here's the, and then there was the blaster for K, which is like a different look, and all the different blasters. In fact, K's blaster, that's what everyone else had.
Yeah,
like all the special guys that showed up in Las Vegas had K's blaster.
Yeah, standard issue.
And all of the special, like the dialy thing that the girl had to make the dreams, which it looked like it was like a photographic thing. It was all mechanical.
Yeah,
that's all with working moving parts and stuff, and things like that. So you get a lot of. You really get revved up for the film watching all this Adam Savage stuff. So you can just go and test it on YouTube and watch all that stuff. And that's what got me to go see Ghost in the Shell, even though I knew it would suck and I would hate it. And it was awful.
And did you?
Looked great.
Yeah.
Style over substance.
It really was. It really was. It was a soulless visual copy of the original.
Isn't that a whole motto of Cyberpunk 2020 or 2019?
Style over substance. That's right.
I'm proud of it.
You don't need to be good. You just need to look good.
It was a rocker boy. I love that game. It was a great game.
So on the world, it was interesting. I really liked their world. I had a little bit of dissonance because I love the world of the original Blade Runner, which is all in the city. They spend the entire time in the city. It's always raining, a lot of neon, and that sort of thing. I guess I liked going and visiting some other locations like San Diego or Las Vegas, but at the same time, I was a little sad that that meant we spent less time in the city, in a city of one generation later, LA, with the neon and the people on their bikes with the umbrellas. There was
less time with the main character eating noodles in the rain kind of thing.
Yeah, in the urban environment, in that urban noir environment, which I love.
True.
Well, it was kind of nice because it did show us that the world had moved on.
Yeah.
And that's where all the time of the little prequels comes in when you have Wallace's story. He says, "Well, you were hungry, I fed you.
Yeah,
we need," and that's where he comes back with his replicant and says, "I have created a replicant that is completely subservious." Well,
he will obey. That's right. He says, "Kill yourself."
Yeah. But you see, that's where I think those 4 little movies are really critical to the enjoying of this movie. And I wonder if people sat down and didn't see these 4 little movies and this says, I don't understand what's happening. Like,
I didn't super remember them, so I don't feel like I was super, like I had forgotten about the that it was replicants that caused the blackout.
Mm-hmm.
And the animated one, where the characters were basically blew up an EMP and blacked out all of the data. I did not remember that until he brought it up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, that's the blackout, okay." And it was to hide the secret.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been weird to see this movie though, and not have any notion about the blackout.
I didn't remember, but they talk about it in the movie.
They mentioned
which is
it
fine.
once or twice in the movie, but then I think
which explains why they use paper records. I said, "Okay, that's cool." I was like, "That's cool." I thought it was just sort of an internal thing for them to explain the design aesthetic of using paper and having physical devices,
but it was an important part of the plot.
Yeah,
because the blackout was all about hiding
the replicants.
Hiding the replicant that reproduced.
But do they say that the replicants caused the blackout in the film? Because I don't remember.
The only time you could, it's at the end,
because it seemed very convenient, but
yeah.
When the old woman tells him he's not a replicant and stuff, that she say, "Oh, we caused the blackout."
No,
and then we take out her own eyes, so they can't find it.
No, that's why those
save the dream.
That's why those 4 little movies are so important.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I didn't remember that, and it didn't diminish my enjoyment or make me question.
Yeah, but then again, you're not your typical viewer that's going to hop in to see about a 120-minute movie with a big explosion at every 20 minutes.
Sometimes he's that guy.
That's right. You like Marvel stuff, eh? You see, that's
less and less I'm liking the Marvel-ness of Marvel movies. The action scenes that aren't required and things like that. Whatever. So, anyway, so we have what time is it? We have 10 minutes left. So You want to talk about creepily bringing not dead but old characters back to life as younger versions of themselves?
Like Rachel? Sure, that's a good one.
As other films have done, but not well.
Well, even watching it the second time around, watching Rachel, I'm like, oh, how did they do that? Like, I couldn't. That's what they should have done in Rogue One. Like, I don't know what they did. I don't know if they reused old footage, but it was high res.
She was in the dark. She was voicing herself.
Yes.
And they scanned her face while she was voicing herself and put it on top of the face of the actress.
Is that what they did?
And they spent like 2 weeks filming it. Like,
they did such a good job.
They did. So
it was utterly convincing. I had no idea.
So Sean Young says that they called her in. She spent like 2 weeks in a room, basically doing her lines, and with dots on her face. Mm-hmm. And so it was her. It was her with enhancement, whereas your Rogue One Grand Moff Tarkin or Princess Leia were just basically actors with some nerd pasting faces on top of them and making it look horrible and creepy.
But it was a different actress with the dots on her face.
No,
it was not Carrie Fisher. No,
sorry, I mean Sean Young. So it was Sean Young's voice.
It was a different actress. Yeah, they hired actors. Yeah, because
it's the same technology.
I remember watching a featurette or something, or I think it was Adam Savage who was visiting Weta, and he asked them how.
I got to look this up.
Yeah.
Because I was utterly convinced. I thought that this was found
just
footage.
De-aged Sean. Oh, okay.
No, I thought it was extra footage that hadn't used in the original movie.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, but how did they get the lines so right? I couldn't. It was perfect. I thought. I wish.
I think it was a Yoda moment. Like I think Villeneuve was really worried that it wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
The same way they were worried that Yoda would just not work when they made Empire Strikes Back.
Well, because Rogue One had come out a year before, and that part was a failure.
And it was just horrifying. And Disney, don't bring Carrie Fisher back.
Well, there was a difference.
I swear to God, I'm going to be very unhappy. So.
But there's also the scene is different in Rogue One. The Carrie Fisher's character is very well lit.
Yeah,
very bright.
It's like, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you make her they should have just Jesus'd her.
Yeah.
Like show her hands, or show her from behind, or show a bright light, or behind a screen,
Yep.
But this one also, Rachel's character is in that room with the water, and it's
there's a shimmering light
play.
But also the conceit is that she doesn't look right. She doesn't look the same because he said her eyes were green.
Yeah.
So
nice.
maybe they were like, we want her not to look exactly right because Wallace didn't have any records. He had no records to go on. How did he even make what he made based on no records? No, did they have photos of her?
No, they did have records.
You have partial records.
Yeah, there was videos.
After the blackout, all of that.
No,
they showed it.
You showed it. When they go and she does it a little
because it was all audio.
Yeah, but...
so they can
we don't know. That one part is audio.
The part that he got was audio. And so they were playing back like dialogue from the original movie.
Yeah,
which is like,
it's the owl.
They were recording all of that. Oh my god!
Recording everything.
It's the owl sequence.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And did they have video of the? I think they have video of the interview sequence where he was basically saying, "You see, there's a jar full of spiders," and she's like, "I called the doctor," and she's smoking. I remember seeing. So maybe they. Anyway.
I think it's easy to assume that there was other footage of Rachel from the archives because she was a big deal for Tyrell.
Yeah, because when Harrison Ford says her eyes were green, and Wallace is like, for fuck's sake, bang, just kill yourself. It's like, but I'm not a replicant. So anyway, we have. I'm just going to restart my other camera. We don't have much time left. I think we had no viewers tonight. Screw all of it.
No, they're all going to tune into YouTube.
What, 3 or 4 of them?
Which is
Which is us 3.
And our relatives and friends. Anyway, to conclude on the Rachel, I thought they did a really good job.
It was amazing. And it was like, did they de-age her? Yeah, so it was.
But then again, it basically feeds into the Decker's character.
It was a great scene with Decker too.
Yeah, where Wallace says, "Do you think you were created? You were specially made for her, like she was specially made for you, so that you could have
fall in love and be happy."
Yeah. Like a.
So 5 minutes left. Okay, so what?
So is it worth like 3 hours long of movie?
Absolutely,
absolutely.
I would like more. So this would be a great fucking 13 hours of footage on Netflix or something like that. You know, like imagine because watching Altered Carbon, right? Which is not as strong. It's more action oriented. It's more glitz, more glitter, more sci-fi, more futuristic. But it's like it's such a rich world.
Yes.
And so imagine like the Blade Runner world with Blade Runners or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
It would have to be well.
It would lose it would lose the whole. I think the medium, the time, played well together. I don't think you could have 13 hours of this. I do believe that if there's going to be something else, I don't want it to be a miniseries. I don't want it to turn into like a...
Or you don't want to see like a Blade Runner going, hey, we could rule out accidental death.
Game of Blade Runner.
Because it's that. It's a book. First page, last page, close, you're done. Then you think about it. You don't have...
Yeah, it's like I love The Arrival. I wish there would be a sequel. No,
more
like,
Arrivals.
Just
The Return.
Arrival 2. The Return. You see squids going around.
So that's why I think that what running time of 2 hours and 45 is perfect.
Yeah.
And
it was good, and I was worried that I would be bored the second time in the theater, and the local theater here is not super comfortable, but it was just went right by.
I like that they took their time with it, and they gave you lots of time to appreciate, to kind of soak in the atmosphere and soak in the mood.
Yeah. So Hans Zimmer did the score for this film, and it was his own score, but he didn't copy the Vangelis score, but he made it very evocative, and it just worked. It was perfect.
Very Inception.
Did he actually? I think he actually found like the same type of synthesizer that Vangelis used. And and then at the end, Roy Batty's team when Kay passes away. That's just gorgeous.
Oh, I don't remember that. Okay.
Yeah, when he's
that's right. Yeah,
when he's looking up at the
the
snow.
one callback to the original.
The one
movie.
callback. When he's
Wow,
looking up
I
at the
didn't
snow.
know that.
That's why I think he's content at the end. Just like Roy Batty.
It was Tears in the Rain, right?
Yeah, Tears in the Rain.
Tears in the
Just
Rain
like
movie.
just like
Or-
Roy
Yeah,
Batty.
that was like the ultimate. Yeah, the ad lib line. It's like, say whatever you want to say. It's like you're not like tears in the rain.
Time to die.
Time to die.
No, but that's why I think
Lady Hawk is my favorite movie.
Oh.
Starring
Rutger Hauer
Yes.
Well, co-starring Rutger Hauer,
and Matthew Broderick
Broderick,
and
think
Michelle
that's all
Pfeiffer.
I've got.
and young Michelle Pfeiffer.
In music,
And it has a weird soundtrack.
I've
Which I
got
love.
recollection.
So,
Alan Parsons.
It has an Alan Parsons Project soundtrack, which is like so discordant. Yeah.
That's the only one time that, like, my character in Dungeons and Dragons had a double triggered crossbow.
That's right. He had a double crossbow. He was like, it was awesome. Lady Hawk. It's a great movie. You'd watch that with your kids.
Who plays the monk?
Rumpel.
Yeah,
He was the actor who played Rumpel. I forget his name. He was
I got a hawk. Bring it up. I'll cook it up. No, it's a special hawk.
He's like, we cannot eat this hawk. Oh God, is it Lent again already? It's good. It's a good movie. Good medieval, cursed by the devil to be.
No, cursed by the Pope.
Whatever. Yeah.
Or a bishop.
Cursed by the bishop. You never seen Lady Hawk?
I think I
So
have.
Rutger Hauer is a
Yeah.
wolf by night, and
Oh, no, I did see this.
And Michelle Pfeiffer is a hawk
Michelle
by
Pfeiffer is a hawk.
Yeah,
by
yeah,
day.
that's right. And,
Together forever, but forever apart.
yeah. No, I did see. I do remember this now.
Great
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. It's been a long time, but yes.
Philippe the Mouse.
Matthew Broderick as Philippe the Mouse. Anyway,
Philippe Gaston. Yeah, that's one.
yeah.
Yeah, ready your crossbow.
And we used to reference that all the time when we played D&D. Well, that and Willow. I mean, Willow's another classic, Star Wars with crossbows movie. So, good movie. So 8:58. So, any final thoughts? Was it like your favorite movie of 2017? Was it up there?
It was up there. I
I think I like Logan the best. I think
Yeah,
that's just
Logan
my
stood
personal
out.
thing. Logan was just.
it was a
Have you
good
seen Logan Noir?
one. What? No.
So
like
when you buy the special edition DVD, it comes with like 3 discs, including one which is contrast enhanced black and white.
Oh, this is where you got the idea for Blade Runner 20.
Yeah, and so noir, and it's great because it's if you want to show it to someone who's more squeamish, it's great because
Less blood.
instantly the blood is a lot less bloody.
No, it's black.
It's just you just don't see it. It's
Is
just-
there a voiceover?
No,
I can't do
I've been living too long. I feel old. Yeah, no. So you thought you liked it? It was good.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely between Logan and 2049 would be my favorite movie of last year.
So you can't wait to see Dune by Denis Villeneuve.
Was he still?
His next project is Dune. He's redoing Dune.
Seriously?
Yes.
No way.
And I mean, why is he doing? I do it as 3 movies, 2 movies, a miniseries, whatever. But yeah, he was gonna. Yeah, he thinks
there's a market for Dune.
Yes,
well, there's the miniseries from Sci-Fi or something,
which was really good.
Yeah,
it was hampered by the low budget, but it was just it looked good. It was weird that the Fremen were all like Eastern Europeans, but they were all like Bulgarians,
who they could hire.
Yeah.
So is the new Dune going to be just the first book?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, a retelling of the first book.
Yeah, there's a lot to pack into one movie.
Yeah,
That first book is very dense. Like that British miniseries basically had the first book as one series, and then the next 2 books as the next series.
Yeah,
because the next 2 books are a lot less filled with stuff. So,
geez, I don't know, man.
So Villeneuve has never made a bad he's like Miyazaki. Right. He's never made a bad movie.
I would say, the fact that
he in fact has never made a film that isn't brilliant.
The fact that it's him gives me hope, but if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't, because I'm not so convinced anymore that turning novels into that are got complicated plots and are about 500 pages long.
They should be miniseries.
They should be like Game of Thrones basically showed you. Imagine
if they made a Game of Thrones movie or trilogy. Oh my god, it would be terrible.
Yeah, it would be terrible. But on the flip side, taking Dune, which is a complicated, interesting story, and turning that into a Game of Thrones type series, that'd be amazing.
So are you saying that Lord of the Rings should have not been a movie?
Lord of the Rings somehow worked. Although in hindsight, I wonder how.
Harry Potter
the Hobbit didn't work.
Well, the Hobbit didn't work, yeah.
Well, the Hobbit is understandable.
Well, the Hobbit, the problem was they tried to stretch.
Yeah, the Hobbit is in like 90
He scraped it over too much toast.
3 different movies, like what?
And you knew it was going to be a shit show when they were like, "We're making the Hobbit. It's going to be 2 movies," and then 2 weeks later, "It's going to be 2 movies." Oh god,
we say 2.
It's like, no, it's going to be 3 movies. Oh god, no.
Yeah, because the rest of the rest
of 200-page book in big type.
Yeah, in big type. But the problem is that they want to do the Silmarils and all the other post stuff that Tolkien added back to the backstory.
Okay, so think about Lord of the Rings. So Lord of the Rings worked because it wasn't a movie. It was 3 movies for the trilogy. But it wasn't just 3 movies. Each of those 3 movies, when properly seen, you watch the 4-hour special edition versions. So it was really 12 hours of movie. So they and the books were the books would go on with like it's 2 pages of elven poetry.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, we don't need to we don't need to do that, or there'd be like 3 pages of describing mountains.
It's like not a boost.
So what bugged me about Peter Jackson's adaptation of Lord of the Rings, I'm going to get into this, is that he took away stuff that was good and replaced it with stuff that was his own creation that wasn't as good.
Yes, I agree.
It was like, why? And he took out all the songs and the poetry and they replaced it with other songs and stuff. And I was like, okay. Why? And then they introduced like the love triangle in the second film, and that was terrible. And then the third film felt rushed in the end. So
yeah,
you could tell they were getting exhausted in the end. I'm glad he did away with the whole Sharky and the Fall of the Shire stuff. But in the end, I think it was probably the best film adaptation they could have done.
Yeah.
And I think he has a big ego, and I think Peter Jackson has trouble editing himself. Mm-hmm. Which is how you ended up with this awful King Kong movie, which was like 3 hours. It should have been 2 hours. Like you need someone to tell. He needs someone to tell him this is too long. Get rid of all this boring.
Yeah, where's
stuff.
where's this Brian De Palma?
It's not advancing your movie. Get rid of it.
Where's this Brian De Palma?
And then The Hobbit. I figure he was probably forced to make 3 movies by the studio.
Yeah, I think the studio said,
and it's like pad it. It's like no. It's a short children's book. Like, I don't want to see dwarves fucking, pouring molten gold on a dragon. Like, come on.
Anyway. You know what? I've still never seen parts 2 and 3. I watched part 1 and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I think I went to see part 2 and then I was like, why did I come and see this? And I didn't see part 3. Which by all accounts is a film where the main character is not really seen in most of it. He just... Come back, Peter Jackson. Just come back. You just need someone to tell you to not talk so much, like we're doing now. Anyway, so my recommendation is that if you haven't seen Blade Runner 2049, you probably shouldn't have watched this. But it's a brilliant, thought-provoking movie. If you like other films but didn't even know, like Sicario, Well, Sicario is more action-packed, but if you like The Arrival, which is like thought-provoking and long and slow and so on, this film is brilliant. If you like the original Blade Runner, this is right down your alley. If you like any film that has things that make you think, and you know,
we should review it in 2 years' time together.
we should. So, what's your recommendation?
What?
What is it? We didn't go have your recommendation yet.
About
thumbs up, thumbs down.
oh
Did you like it?
yeah, yes.
Thumbs up.
It's for me. It's the movie that I waited for this year. It's the only movie I went to see the movie that I wanted to, and I was not disappointed.
You mean you were dragged against your will to see Star Wars?
Well, I thought you liked Last Jedi.
The second time around, it was bearable.
You
The
saw it
first,
twice.
well, I had to go with my sons.
See, what you needed was more distance from Richard. The farther you were from Richard, the more you enjoyed that movie.
But even
The waves of anger, you know, they attenuated with distance.
Strike me down with all of your hatred.
I clearly sat down in that movie and I was really like, what are they doing? Literally.
Mm.
Like, this is...
Right from the your mama joke at the beginning.
No.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
That was fine.
Yeah.
It was not fine. I mean,
Or he prank calls the general. He's like,
Yeah,
"Why? Should we just let him?" Yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't. You thought the B-17 bomber sequence was great,
No, that was pretty bad.
where in the past
That
we
was-
had better ships
it was
like
to-
Y-wings.
yeah,
It's
that
like,
was-
where are the Y-wings
It was,
that can shoot their bombs
It was
on
to-
the end of torpedoes?
it was totally nonsensical. It didn't make any sense.
You know, why
Yeah.
why was Kylo Ren able to just attack the flagship of the Rebel fleet and just pretend it had no shields? It had no shields. He just flew in with his two buddies and shot the bridge. There were no shields.
Tune in next week.
This happens. This is happening
We talk
in
about
Star
Star
Trek
Wars.
too, where none of the ships have shields anymore. It's like, what the hell, man? You know. So
You don't need shields anymore for plot.
That's right.
I guess in the olden days, the shields were there so that you could have dialogue while so that you wouldn't just be instantly vaporized by enemy ships. You'd be like, our shields are still holding. Let's keep talking about how we're going to fix this social issue.
Yeah, that provides tension. The shields are down to 37%, Captain. Oh, let's put more, divert power from the back shields to the front
She's going to
shields.
blow, Captain. She can't take it anymore, Captain.
So that informs us as to how filmmaking is done these days, where action has to happen really fast.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
So.
We got no time for these shields. We need to fly into the convenient area and go shoot,
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Although you didn't. So, this is going to become a fixture, and then like in 2 weeks or whatever, when we do this again, Rebels won't be airing their series finale. Star Wars fans.
So the question is, I have right now, if we're the proverbial tree in the forest,
Pretty
did
sure,
we actually fall or not? If nobody's there to watch us fall, did we fall or not?
We're going to re-release. Like when the
right.
broadcast ends, we're just going to push it out there, so it's going to be fine. We're
Yep.
so,
We're a deep cut. We'll be discovered on YouTube. Like, 2 years from now, you'll be like, where are all these viewers coming from? What's going on?
Well, and I can also mention that I rewatched Red Letter Media's discussion of Star Trek of that one too of Blade Runner 2049,
Yeah.
and they both loved it.
Mhm.
Although they agree that it was long and boring, although they still loved it. So
I think we need more long, boring stuff these days. There's too many gasoline explosions. I think having time, we need more time to think, to kind of soak in the deep atmosphere and to kind of ponder what this means. And I like that, we'll learn something about Kay, and then you get time, as we transition to the next scene, as his air car is flying over the city, you're thinking about, wow, he's probably really messed up right now. Like, wow, he's probably got a lot of conflicting emotions, and you got time to kind of think about what this means to the character. So when he, he's crushed later on in his disappointment, that really means something to you because you've had time to internalize it yourself.
Yeah.
So
Well, in this culture of skipping
Yes.
over any song you don't like or
yeah.
going the fastest way to eat possible, it's kind of funny.
So there's a good reason to go see it in the theater, because normally when I'm watching, this is terrible to admit, but when I'm watching a movie or a TV show at home,
oh my god, the revelation's coming.
I got my laptop in my lap and I'm trying to get things done.
Oh.
Right? I'm kind of watching, I look up, I go, oh, that's cool, and then tap. So I really like to go to see a movie in the theater, a movie that I like, because your hands are twitching. You're like, I want to type something. You're not going to do anything. You're going to just enjoy this movie. It's time out. Nothing's, no time for anything else. Enjoy, think about it, just soak in it. So I really like that about this movie.
Yeah. Well, we should be doing that for everything. Trying to convince my son to just
Yeah.
like not do Spotify and just skip over his song. Like put the album down, sit down, and listen to both sides.
Lift the needle.
Well,
Put-
he has his own turntable now, but even
Oh
just
my God.
doing a CD.
Junior hipster. He's like winding his camera.
So I wind my
Listening
camera.
to it.
He's wind his own film.
Yeah, no, don't joke about that. It's not funny.
I'm sorry, is that serious?
No, it is because I do all my own.
That's right. That's right. You guys are film guys.
Gotta
Wow.
get back into that.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Those of you who watch this later on,
Yes.
let us know what you think of what we're doing. And I guess that's it.
Great.
So thanks a lot, guys. We're gonna play Giant Killer Robots now. This is a game that was made by Weta Workshop, same company that did all the physical effects for the Blade Runner 2049.
So if people don't know what it is, it's Pat Labor. Remember that old animation show?
So the robots all look like Chappie because Chappie was designed by Weta Workshop. So yeah, so they're like these giant robots that destroy ruined empty cities, and they try to tag the buildings in order to destroy them in the name of their company, and then they get
It's
they get
wrestling.
victory points. It's wrestling. Yeah, giant robots destroying cities. Good fun. Anyway, thank you very much, and goodbye.
And cheers.